Welcome to the Dear Professor series, where college students who take courses online speak their minds. I am your host and e-learning strategist, Dr. Kelly Alston, who is honored to have a conversation with today's guest as he sheds light on his experiences as an online student. I've been teaching online since 2004 and made the tough decision to obtain my PhD through an online program. So I have been both an online instructor and an online student. As a result, I know that some wonderful things are happening with online programs, as well as some not so wonderful things going on. The purpose of this series is to help professors and students experience a more fulfilling online learning environment by allowing students to reveal their needs and their pet peeves. I hope that this information will support professors in making the necessary changes or adjustments in the design and delivery of their online courses, which should ultimately enhance student success and satisfaction with distance education. So, if you're interested in hearing what students have to say about their lived experiences online, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that every Wednesday at 8 p.m., the latest episode will come straight to you. Also, feel free to comment about anything said and ask questions. If you are listening via a podcast platform, please be sure to follow and rate the series so that your interest and opinion of the show are made known. Now, if you are in academia, you are probably fully aware that so much is going on in higher education right now. If you subscribe to the Chronicle of Higher Ed or Inside Higher Ed, your inbox is flooded with the sometimes jaw-dropping, unbelievable events that occur in colleges and universities daily. As faculty, what do you do to process the situations and circumstances that appear right on your doorstep or drive right down your lane? Well, today, I would like to introduce you to the Professor's Week in Review, a journal for weekly reflections on the higher ed experience. I created this journal as a tool for processing, celebrating, planning, and just thinking deeply about what is happening week by week, internally and externally in higher ed. Each week, the journal guides you on what to write about using 9 prompts. I know 9 prompts may seem like a lot, but once you get started writing, you may be like me and can't wait to release your thoughts on the pages. However, some weeks you may not have much to share for each prompt, and that's okay. After all, it is your journey and your journal. Use it as you will. One thing I can promise you is that what you will discover as a scribe is invaluable. There are no words that can express how beneficial this weekly practice will be. Therefore, I am inviting you to purchase the Professor's Week in Review, which I call the Wire Journal for short. You may order your copy from Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and Vervante.com by simply going to bit.ly/Dr. Kelly Alston. You may also access the link in the description box and the show notes. So I challenge you today to commit to journaling about your work experience and make it a mindful semester. Today, I am honored to have Aaryn Lewis as my guest. Good evening, Aaryn.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. Welcome to the Dear Professor series. Aaryn, you are my 6th guest for season 2, and that's special to me because that means we are making it halfway through the season.
Yes.
So, all of us have made it to almost 3 months into 2024. Can you believe that?
No,
No,
absolutely not.
it seems like it's going by so fast. I didn't know because you're younger than I am if it felt like that to you. So, if you had to give the first quarter of this year a movie title that depicts your life from January 2024 to March 2024, Aaryn, what would the title be?
If I had to sit and think about it, I would definitely compare my life to The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh.
Yes. It's a coming of age movie. So it pretty much, has these students are in high school, but I can kind of relate to it even being in college as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
They're dealing with different experiences and they're learning, their past doesn't define their future and their futures are still very much in their hands. And no matter what they want to do or where they want to go, they're in control.
Oh, I love that. So, since you brought that up, high school, how have you found it to be transitioning from high school to college?
I found it very interesting. I feel that they in high school they made college seem so like a big thing, like so much going on at once. When in actuality, college is very lax, which I can feel like that is the dangerous part of it because it is so lax. You control when you wake up. You control if you want to go to class. You control a lot of different things and different aspects of your life that you didn't really have control of in high school. So that transition of dealing with school and also dealing with life at the same time can be very brutal on some people. But for me specifically, it's been a little rocky, but I'm kind of getting the ropes.
That was so well said. I don't think there's anything that prepares you for that abrupt change. It
No.
doesn't matter how much your parents tell you, or people who've been to college maybe a year before you or 10 years before you. Like for you to
Hmm.
have that so much control all at once, it is very, very challenging. I'll say that so that
Yeah.
we don't scare anybody that's trying to go. I was going to use
No,
another word,
definitely.
but we'll
Please
just
don't
say
be scared.
challenging. Okay.
No, it's saying please don't be scared.
Right, right. Don't be scared. But it's just a coming of age, coming into adulthood. And so it is a
Yeah.
lot. So, Aaryn, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am 19. This is my first semester of college. I currently attend UNCG. I graduated from a performing arts high school. The name is Weaver Academy. It's right, not across the street, but a couple of minutes down the road. I'm not too far away from the high school, but I was a vocal student at the high school. Very, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it was definitely an experience going there.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So, what made you go
Definitely.
to a performing arts high school?
Well, I'm a singer and I wanted to pursue, or at least I thought that I wanted to pursue singing. Everybody that I came around that, witnessed me singing, they were always like, you should do something with that. So, of course, I believed them. Not to say that it wasn't like a waste of time because it was definitely an experience. And I'm so glad that I did that because I was able to hone my skills. I was able to really thrive when it came to that school. That school taught me a lot about myself. But when it comes to pursuing and actually going to school for music, it made me realize that that's not something that I wanted to do. And I'm glad I realized that in high school rather than paying thousands of dollars,
Right.
going to somewhere else. But yeah, that's well.
Yeah, and so let me just say I can relate to you. Growing up and you sing, I try to do a little something something and you aspire, that's what you want to do and you kind of think of it as a career, you're young and you fantasize about it. But with your generation, I think the beautiful thing is that you can do multiple things. Whereas with
Yes.
my generation, it was like if you decide to be an actor, you're gonna be an actor till you die. Or if you decide to be a teacher, you're gonna be a teacher till you die, you're gonna retire
Yeah.
and go into the sunset. But you all have the opportunity to change your mind and you have the internet and you have so many things where you can try things and dip and dab in things and not, be cornered to do one thing for the rest of your life. So it's great that you saw that. You might change your mind later, but if you changed your mind already, that's great. You can not like my mom always said, changing your mind is legal. So
Yes.
I'm glad. So what's your general experience with taking courses online?
Well, my first experience was during high school. I believe it was around end of freshman year to majority of sophomore and then kind of into junior year with the pandemic happening. I had to take AP courses, all of that. It was rough, definitely, because high school classes are, I want to say, much more demanding than college classes online. So, yeah, that was kind of my first experience. But when it came to college courses, I didn't really care for it too much. Kind of the same feeling I had towards the high school online courses. I just feel like, me personally, I do better in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like teachers become a little more lenient and less attentive and less engaged when they have courses online, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Kind of leaving your students out in the cold because it's kind of like oh, they got it. And if they need me, they'll email me. But even then, they don't really be answering the emails.
Oh wow, we're gonna get into that. Now wait a minute.
Yeah.
You said we have to backtrack. You said that the high school APA courses were more demanding than the college courses.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my
Definitely.
goodness. Okay, so in what way were they more demanding? This is good.
I would have to say, I would have to say the workload and how much the teacher was kind of on us in a sense, because in AP classes they say that they're trying to prepare you for college, which is completely true. But I think in some aspects they definitely over prepare you, if that makes sense.
Mhm,
So that because with my experience, I received a whole bunch of work. I received a whole bunch of just a lot. I was very overstimulated when it came to AP courses, especially online. And when I got to college, well, actually, when I took the courses online for college, and then when I actually got here, I realized that the AP courses don't necessarily correlate when it comes to the college courses. When it comes to the college courses, the workload, it's not as heavy, but the work is more difficult, more challenging, but it's not as heavy and it's not as taxing as if it were with the high school AP courses. Now that definitely depends on your major, like whatever you decide to major in. Like I feel like that definitely does fluctuate, but for me personally, yeah, that was my experience.
Ren, you got me writing so fast. I don't even know what question I want to ask you next. This is so good. Okay, this is just so good to me because I have this. I don't know what I want to say. I don't know what I want to call it because I don't want to say anything about people that teach AP classes. But I've had these discussions with one of my close friends that works in central office about AP classes, and that's why I didn't, push that on my daughter to take them because it seems like it's a bunch of busy work. And I'm saying that
Yeah.
from the aspect of a student. I took academically gifted type courses, growing up in high school and everything. And it's like
Hmm.
people tend to think, some people, let me clarify, tend to think that
Yeah.
giving someone more work and stressing them out is making it, higher level thinking type of work when it really does not. Like it's
Exactly.
not enhancing your critical thinking skills. It's just that you have to do a 50-page paper in 7 days. And so you're going,
You're going crazy.
yeah. And it's not like, it's because it's just an insurmountable feat that they ask you to do. And they make the children so stressed out in high school. And then I used to
Yeah.
tell Zoe that all the time. I used to be like, college is not like that. And so I'm so glad to hear that from you because that is what I have suspected for so long because I taught college for so long. And then when you get to college, it's more, well, let me let you say, why do you feel like it's more, you said it was more challenging. It wasn't like, the course load is not like heavy, but it's more challenging.
Yeah, the course load is definitely not as heavy, but it is more challenging because these are college courses, college course classes. This work is coming from people who actually have degrees and PhDs in the major that you're trying to go for.
Right.
So it's kind of like you're getting work from their perspective rather than a teacher kind of just guessing or like kind of just throwing this work at you, if that makes sense.
Uh,
Like I definitely agree, like when it comes to AP teachers just giving you work, just busy work, because I feel like when it comes to AP classes, you do so much within the semester and you apply yourself so much to the point where you almost become burnt out. So it's
yes.
just like you do all of that throughout the school year and then you have this big exam, and then the exam, not the effort that you put into the entire course, but the exam determines whether or not you get the credit for college. And if you pass it or if you fail it, it depends whether or not you get the credit. And I feel like that's not necessarily fair because of a lot of students put in a lot of work
Yes,
throughout the year, and some students aren't good test takers. So for all of their work to kind of be like invalidated based off of a test score, that kind of sucks. So I should have just taken like
the
dual
honors.
courses.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that would have been better for me.
Aaron, I thank you, Aaron, for saying this. I had no idea. But yes, I feel exactly how you feel. So that's why,
Yeah.
like I said, I told Zoe, don't worry about, taking a bunch of AP classes, because if you already know that test taking is not your thing, you have no way of knowing what's on that test. And you're cramming in
Right.
all this work and it's for naught if you don't pass the test. Then what's
No,
the point? And this is my other thing. I hate to go on this soapbox. I get
you're
it
fine.
that AP classes, people say, I have a friend of mine who his son is going to community college, the early
Mhm.
college. And he said
Yeah.
he wanted him, he'll have an associate's degree if he completes all his
Hmm.
courses when he gets to college. And this is my
Yeah.
thing. I know college is expensive, but let's just say it's not expensive. Let's just take that out of the equation. You're
Hmm.
not going to be this age ever again. So why are you trying to rush to get out? That's my
Right.
thing. Like I enjoy being a freshman, then a sophomore, then a junior, because you have other parts of you that are growing outside of academics. It's
Hmm.
kind of like when you see those pro players, like remember like Kobe and LeBron, like they go to the NBA when they're 18 or they're really
Hmm.
young. They still have to
Yeah.
grow as men, handling all the pressures of that career change that they made, that abrupt career change. And so
Absolutely.
yeah, so I think that I don't see the benefit personally of somebody having an associate's degree and rushing through college through those 4 years because
Hmm.
it's like you're skipping grades, and so
Yeah.
everybody else is 18, 19, and let's say you're 15 in college, that kind of thing.
Right.
Or, and so I feel like you really need that time to blossom and grow. So I just don't really get the AP program. Sorry for people that are listening. If it works for you, great. But I just really don't. I don't think students should feel so pressured to take those classes and feel bad about themselves if they're not in
Hmm.
those classes. I think we need to stop to be more realistic. Let a child be a child. Let a teenager be a teenager, and let a college student
Right.
be a college student. So
Hmm.
that was a whole nother podcast, wasn't it?
It sure was.
All right, Aaron. So tell me about your needs as an online student. A need is defined as something you require because it is essential or very important. When you click on the online course or the courses that you're enrolled in, Aaron, what do you require or desire from your professors and that course to be successful?
I would say the biggest thing is patience. I am very much a overthinker, but also a procrastinator at the same time. So that doesn't really fall on the teacher, but I feel like as a teacher, you were once a student. So you should be able to understand and kind of give your students a little bit of grace, especially if they are trying their hardest.
Mhm.
Like I said, online courses are not the best thing.
Right.
So I would just say just patience and grace from the teacher can overall make the class better, and especially when you see that the teacher is excited to teach their students about whatever the curriculum is, whatever you might be learning at the time. When you see that excitement from your teacher, it personally makes you want to do better, and it makes you want to learn more within that class and do what you can to actually be successful.
Okay, Aaron. So, how is excitement conveyed to you in an online course?
Excitement conveyed, meaning like, how can I explain it? Those teachers that are like, "Hey, good morning, class, such and such," and then you can just kind of hear the enthusiasm in their voice when they're teaching,
Yeah.
and then you get those either whether it's daily emails or weekly emails, like just checking up on your students. How are you doing? Like just kind of showing that you're more than a teacher, like you're a human being and you value the minds of your students because at the end of the day that's all we really need, like a community. School is like a community, a family or a home away from your actual home. So know that you're cared about, to know that your teacher is there for you
Hmm.
beyond the class can definitely do a lot for students.
Now, that is a really good point. So the tone, all of that can still be
Mhm.
conveyed through the computer. Now, are you talking about a synchronous class where y'all are meeting live as well? Or are you just talking about just communication on the announcement page or the emails? What,
It can
yeah,
go ahead.
that enthusiasm, how does it come out to you?
It can be when it's synchronous, the tone of your voice definitely does play a lot. Or whether you're asynchronous, just sending out those emails, just, kind of checking up on your students. I know that everybody has a life or whatever, but so do your students, and we're still finding a way to fit all of this work into our lives on
Hmm.
top of what we're dealing with outside of that.
Right.
So just, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, I feel like online teachers can do a little bit more to kind of engage with their students and make us feel like we matter rather than just a paycheck. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes. Now you talked about patience. How do
Yes.
professors show patience in the online format, would you say?
Patience, as in letting their students know that I'm going to work with you. If this way of me teaching isn't working for you, because everybody's minds are different. Not everybody learns the same way. Not saying that everyone has a set way of learning, but not everyone learns the same way. So the teacher taking the time, like, let's say me as a student, I'm reaching out to my professor, right? And I'm saying, hey, I just don't understand. Like, I'm not getting the way that you're teaching. And it's not as an insult, not saying that, the teacher is incompetent or anything. It's just that your way of teaching me isn't necessarily working for me.
Mm,
So the teacher taking the time to either guide me to some resources or even, recording a little video trying a different way or different perspective of teaching me. Just a different angle so that I can understand, so that I can prosper in the class. Because when it comes to students, a lot of students necessarily, not a lot, but some students don't necessarily do good in the class because of the way that their professor is teaching. And we don't know how to necessarily tell the professor, because a lot of professors are, well, not a lot. Some professors can be a little,
sensitive.
what's the word? Sensitive.
Yeah, about
Yes. Very
criticism.
sensitive. Very sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was laughing while you were talking, but you didn't hear me. But I was laughing because I was smiling because I remember a guy that came to my house to do some lawn work, and he was talking to me about one of his professors. He's asking me, what do I do? And he said, yeah,
Hmm.
I had a professor that was teaching him calculus, I think he said. And he said he would
Hmm.
face the board like he's talking to the board, and they couldn't hear a
Wow.
word he was saying. And then he would turn around and be like, are there any questions? And everybody's hands would be up like, yeah, we didn't hear nothing you said. And he was like, but they still couldn't get him to understand that you need to face us and act like it's human beings in the room. This is face to face. That there are human
Yeah.
beings in the room, and pause for a minute. Like, we're learning this. This is math, and it
Hmm.
doesn't come naturally for a lot of people. So,
Right.
so we were just talking about how sometimes people that have been doing something for years feel like, you got to catch up with me. I'm not going to
Exactly.
change for you. And we know that we shouldn't be that way. So thank you for pointing that out. Now,
Yeah.
Aaryn, let's talk about your pet peeves. Sound like you kind of slid some in there, but let's see. Now, a pet peeve is a minor annoyance that an individual finds particularly irritating. It is something that bothers you more than it bothers others. So, your pet peeve may not be someone else's, and that's okay. Share with us what really annoys you when it comes to online courses, Aaryn. What are your pet peeves?
Okay, so not to be direct, but monotone professors.
Okay.
Oh my God. I just, I feel like there has to be some sort of scale, or I don't know, do like a vocal warm up in the morning to kind of play around with the different sounds of your voice. But
Right.
if you teach a class just like this, I swear I'm not learning nothing. I'm not learning nothing
Right.
in that.
That's so funny, Ren, because I had a guest, Lorraine. She said the same thing. She was talking about how professors lecture online and they're talking like this. She actually did an example, and she was like, "We are
Yeah.
not paying attention to anything you're saying."
Oh, you sound like a robot. Do you talk to everyone like this, or are you just bored? Like,
Oh my goodness! So, did you have any other pet peeves?
um, just to kind of backtrack, not having patience when it comes to your students, and like you kind of said, just expecting your students to catch up to where you are,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to meet your students where they're at, not treating us like human beings, and just overall expressing, like, there can be nonverbal expressions when it comes to like just showing how you don't enjoy what you're doing in a sense. Like,
Right,
it's kind of like you're doing it out of necessity rather than you wanting to do it.
right.
And people can very much pick up on that, whether that be email or body language or just overall the energy that you're giving off as a person. That can be a turn off to a lot of people, and that kind of just makes a lot of people not want to learn when it comes to the classes, even if you are paying for it.
Yes. Well, guess what? We have made it to the Dear Professor segment. And this is where you have the opportunity to speak to one of those professors. I want you to share your heart with a fellow professor that you have in mind, Ren. And I want you to
Mhm.
imagine that there's an online bulletin board with sticky notes or messages from students to their professors. What is the note you would leave one of your online college professors, Ren?
I would leave, well, dear professor, you are still human, and I definitely understand, but I feel that there could have been more balance between whatever you were dealing with in your personal life versus how you came across during this online course. And it definitely could have made my overall experience better as a student. No shade, of course, because everybody goes through what they go through. Not everybody reaches certain milestones at the same time. So it's just, it's all about growth as a human being. Just because you're an adult, just because you have a PhD, a house, a car, does not necessarily mean that you have reached certain milestones to make you understanding, comprehensive, or, sometimes just a decent human being. And that's completely understandable. I'm not knocking anybody because everybody goes through what they go through at their own pace and at their own time. But I wish that professor well, and I hope whatever they were going through on their personal time, I hope that they get through it. And prayers to you.
All right. So I love how you were willing to be so transparent about how you felt and that you were able to let that professor know that, yes, you're human and we all go through things, but how you come across
Yes.
matters. And how you treat me as a student matters. So,
Hmm.
and also the fact that just because they've accomplished certain things, like you said, a doctorate, a house, car, that doesn't mean right that they know how to treat people and
Right.
recognize that they're not meeting the needs of their students. So I appreciate you for being forthcoming and sharing that. How do you feel about that? Do you have that person in your mind that you were talking to?
Yes, of course.
Was it good to get that off your chest?
It does. It definitely does. But it wasn't just for that professor, it's just for, anyone.
Oh, okay. It was like like a general dear professor.
Yeah.
All right. So, professors, you heard what Aaryn had to say. And as we close, let me just share these takeaways from today's conversation. When Aaryn is taking courses online, there are two things specifically that he said that he needed, and that is patience and excitement from the professor. He understands that and wants you to understand that enthusiasm can come across in your voice, in your daily emails, your weekly emails, just how you communicate with your students. They can feel your energy through your tone. They can feel your energy through their synchronous classes. And he needs you to act excited about that class and not like somebody forced you to teach it. Is that accurate?
Amen.
All right. Well, Aaryn, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I am excited about all of the incredible things that are in store for you and how your gifts will make room for you, not only this year, but in the years to come. I know that your gifts are going to bless the world, but also make your life more fulfilling for you. So have a
Yeah.
wonderful 2024. May it be a year of personal discoveries, adventures, and pure joy.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to comment, like, share this series with 1, 2, 3 people this week. Click that follow button on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe on YouTube. I look forward to spending time with you next week on the Dear Professor series, where college students who take courses online speak their minds. Bye bye.